Okay, good morning. This recording is, I'm going to proof to the judge, the lawyers. The last video, this video I'm about to go through is the video conference I had with the lawyer. Caroline Clinton was involved. She was on the line. The lawyer was on the line. The judge was on the line, and I was on the line. And I've put this video on YouTube, and it's gotten many hits. And the highest number of favorable responses of any of the videos I've put on since I've been going through this. But first of all, this is supposed to be a half an hour. It lasted 26 minutes. And I want to tell you, I'm trying to preface this. They're making a focus on the lighthouse that I took down from their position. You're going to hear everything is about the lighthouse. The judge wasted 5 minutes talking about the lighthouse. We wasted 5 or 10 minutes because the lawyer said, I don't have his telephone number and I don't have his email. Okay? That's BS. That just burned up a lot of time. What else burned up a lot of time was the judge nailing me down for an answer on the lighthouse. The lighthouse had been moved a year and a half before this lawsuit, the lady come up to my door with this lawsuit. I think it's very unprofessional to focus on a lighthouse, and especially to bring a lighthouse against me. Now, I've tried to make my argument to the honorable judge that day that I feel that this case that the lawyers and the HOA are bringing against me is a year and a half old. 2 years ago, or a year and a half, 2 years ago, when that lighthouse was there, the lawyer walked onto my property. I caught him. Austin Ballio. He sent me a letter. He's the first lawyer that I got a letter from that legal agency. And when I got the letter, I started doing an internet search on him, and I found a links in video media file, and showed his picture, showed a lot of pictures, gave that he was born and raised in Malibu, went to school in Salt Lake City. Well, that young man, when I looked up on his LinkedIn, I got a picture of him. I really got a real positive ID of who this guy was. So about 2 years ago, when all this started, this young lawyer, Austin Ballio, walked onto my property between my houses. Between my houses. I was watching television in my other house that I've since sold, but I got a big mirror display in the kitchen in my other house, and I can see what goes on in my yard when I sit in the living room. So I was sitting in the living room probably watching a golf tournament or something like that, and I saw this reflection in the mirror of a person in the middle of my lot walking off it. So I ran out, I got him just as he went across the property line, and I was very loud. Marine Corps loud. I can't hear you loud. You understand? Okay? I was in his face. Who are you? What are you doing walking on my property? And he was stunned. He was a deer caught in the headlights. And he had been programmed and told by his lawyers, his mentors at the legal agency, you have a right to do this. Go walk on his property. Well, I caught him, I ID'd him. And I kept asking him, who are you? What are you doing here? Why are you walking on my property? As loud as I could. Now, there was a group playing really slow down on the green. They were probably searching for their ball, and there was a guy that heard me, and he didn't like the way I was talking to this young man because I was disturbing his golf game. I was a Marine. I can't hear you. Talking as loud as I can, shouting at this guy, "Who are you and why are you walking on my property?" Okay? Now, what happened was, this guy that was playing the hole at the green, and they had played it for a long time. They were one of those groups that couldn't get through. They were struggling at the green, and they probably had the back pin that day, so everybody was back there in a posse search party. And this guy didn't like what he was hearing. He thought I was out of place for talking so loud on this cathedral called the golf course. So he immediately walked up to the property line. He stood next to Austin Ballio, and he was about, 30, 40 years younger than me, outweighed me by about 40 pounds, and was taller than me. He was about 6'3". And he didn't like that I was challenging Austin Ballio about walking on my property. So he could have came up and he says, "I can walk on your property too. You bought a house on a golf course." And that's when I said, "How about you two people stand right here?" I ran in the house, I got a video camera, and when I got out, Austin Ballio and this big golfer, his bodyguard, his enforcer, were walking off, got as far away from my property line as they could. And that time it took me to get a camera and put a chip in it and get back out there. They were down to the green. All right? Now, there was people sitting on the tee, and they heard everything. They were still on the tee box waiting for this slow group. They had been there about 10, 15 minutes because this group was playing so slow at the green. And when I told them, I said, "Did you just see what happened?" And their first response to me was, "Yeah, he came down the access easement. We saw him come down the access easement." So Austin Ballio walked down track day, walked along the property lines, and then walked onto my property, took a good look at everything he wanted to look at, took a good look at the lake, and walked off my property. I caught him. I was right there, 5 feet away from him, looking him straight in the face. Okay, now I go in the house and I'm thinking, where have I seen that face before? Where have I seen that face before? Right? I know that guy. I know him. I've seen that face before. Well, one day I was going through my picture files, and what I had done when I went on to Austin Ballio's LinkedIn, I took a picture and I downloaded a real good picture of him. He looks like Matt Gaetz, if you know who Matt Gaetz is. Okay? So, as far as me answering any lawyer letters from his agency, his letter, the first letter I got from him was a return receipt letter with one of the green things, a return receipt. Well, the lady, the postmistress, came up to my house. I had been dealing with her about 5 or 6 years. I knew her personally. She delivered a lot of packages from when you order online, what do I want to call it? I can't remember. I'm really fixated and angry and trying to get this information out. Anyway, I knew the post lady. She came up with a letter that was a green tag return receipt that I had to sign. And when she came up to me with the letter, that was missing. Now I'm in my 60s. I'm in my 70s. Late 60s, early 70s, when she approaches me with a return receipt letter that doesn't have a return receipt with it. And when I asked her, I said, where's the green copy, the return receipt? She goes, "I don't know." I don't know. But I have this generic. I'll take the number of the letter of it and I'll put it on a generic and you can sign that. All right? Very out of place. So I opened the letter. It's from Austin Ballio. His first letter to me. And it was in the beginning of the pay period. Like 3 months away was when I was going to have to pay my dues. And he put a lot of the BS that you're in a community, yada, 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 yada. And wanted to tell me about my yard art, things I'd done to my yard. Anyway, that's when I went to his LinkedIn. I looked up, found his picture. Well, going through my picture files one day, I got this picture of him. I go, there he is. That's the guy that walked onto my property. That's the lawyer that sent me a letter with a missing return receipt green tag on it. And the HOA said nothing, sent no letters to me or anything like that. And at the pay period, when I got my next invoice, here's a $313 charge for that lawyer to put a couple of paragraphs onto a piece of paper. Well, so I sent them letters, the lawyer agency, and they sent me back the bill that $313 was on. And I'll show that to you later. But I got sucker punched. You think, okay, I got a letter here. Okay. All right, I'll do what it says. I did what it says. Okay. I got rid of the stuff. I do what it says. And on my next bill, $313. So I was a little, so that's when I did the research and I got his picture. And like a year and a half after that, he's walking onto my property. Walked onto my property. I think it was a Saturday. Saturday in the afternoon. Well, anyway, we're going to start this video. And the purpose of this video is, well, I'm going to give you a little tutorial. Let's go this way. We'll get rid of this.
Adult Village Homeowners Association, Inc.
Well, we got to stop that. All right. What I'll do is this. And now I can do this. All right. You're going to have a tutorial here. I'm going to show you how I got all this information. You're going to love this website. It's open to everybody. It's a public website. I started getting on this website 12, 13 years ago. I found it. Okay? And first of all, you have to sign this disclosure. You go to Maricopa County Tax Map, and you click on that, and you have to sign this disclosure that says, like we're not responsible for errors or things like that. And you open it up. And you can either have the parcel number or the plat parcel number here, put it in or go, or you can just exit out and find where you live on the map. Just scale out. Well, we live out in the West Valley. If you can see, that's the valley. Now I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to keep zooming in. Here we are. Here's our golf course. Here's the Sundance Golf Course. You can do that anytime you want. All right? Thank you for being patient until I find my lot. But there's a ton of information on this map. Just a ton of information on this map. And you can scroll up or scroll down to increase it, zoom in. But what I'm here for is we have satellite pictures. And the satellite pictures on this go back to the last one was done in 11/20/15. 11/20/15 for the 216. All right? we're going to go up here to, this was taken in 1021. This satellite picture was taken in 1021. Okay? It's an aerial. And it shows up as the 2022 aerial, but it was taken in 1021. Get rid of this guy. And right here, okay, this one was for 23. This one was for 23. Okay, and the lighthouse that they were talking about, and let's go to, this one was taken in 1022. This one was taken, they're 2 years apart. So that was taken in 1022. This one was taken in 1021. 1 year away. Okay? Okay. In October of 21, there's where the lighthouse was. I've got other videos, but it was right there. And if you look, it's right on the property line. It's right, the property line is right here. And when I say I had just sold the house, this was 1021. I think I sold the house in 621. And the lighthouse was here. And now we'll go back here to, that was taken 1022. 1023. And there it is again. The lighthouse. Right on the property line. That was 1022. That's when the picture was taken, I think. What's it say? That picture was taken in 1021. This one was taken in 1022. 1022. The lighthouse is gone. No lighthouse. Now, I'm going to start this, and I want the public out there to recognize.
Seward Lachaume, and I apologize if I mispronounced that name. Please announce appearances.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is Trevor Ash for the plaintiffs, Sundance Adult Village Homeowners Association, and Carolyn Clinton, who's the community manager, is also on the line.
Thank you.
And I'm Seward Lachaume. I'm the defendant, and I'm here present.
Great, thank you. All right, so this is the time set for a return hearing on the application for injunctive relief that was filed by the plaintiff. Mr. Ash, have you and Mr. Lachaume had a chance to talk about the case at all?
We have not, Your Honor. My only means of contacting Mr. Lachaume is by mail. I don't have a phone number or email address for him to reach out.
Okay. Everything was turned over to this legal agency about 3 years ago. Okay? Carolyn Clinton, when they decided that we're not going to talk about Tract A to you, we're not going to be responsible for it, we're not going to open it up, and we're not going to listen to your grievance about the emergency access over Tract A that you think that you deserve and you paid for. But anyway, you heard the lawyer say, I don't have his phone number and an email address. Carolyn Clinton, the HOA, has my phone number, my email address, my social security number. They got everything on me. They know more about me than I know about me. But when they hire this lawyer, they're not going to give him my phone number and my email address so he can get a hold of me. And then the lawyer sends me letters. These are standalone legal document letters. They're a standalone legal document, and I pay dues. I pay dues. I pay for you to send me a standalone legal document, certified mail, return receipt. I've been sending in, the last 5 checks I've sent in for my dues have been certified mail, return receipt. It's about $17 every time I do it. Okay? That's the way I do it. But a lawyer can say that you're kicked out of the HOA. The HOA doesn't have to deal with you anymore. From now on, you're dealing with us. And they send it to you for 52 cents. This is a legal matter. You just stripped me of my use of the HOA. Caroline Clinton kicked me out of the HOA and pulled my key card and telling everybody that I'm so combative that they can't deal with me. I'm disruptive. I disrupt meetings. What my disruption is I paid for something over here in parcel 12, tract A access easement. I paid for it. They advertised it as a cart path onto the golf course. When I bought the house, there was a path up to parcel 12 from the tee box that indicated to me that's going to be your cart path. I go off and on, and a lot of people, you probably get confused of everywhere I go with this, but I'm going to start the video again, and you're going to hear that. I'm going to preface this, but I want you to hear that they're so fixated on the lighthouse. I had to defend the lighthouse to the first thing the judge wanted to know is, when are you going to bring the house? When are you going to take the lighthouse down? What about the lighthouse? The lighthouse, I just proved to you. I took it down 1.5 years. I took that lighthouse down right after the people bought in. And I'll show you that on that plat map when we get back to it. But let's proceed. Listen carefully to the lawyer.
What would you, and Mr. LaShawn, let me ask, are you opposed to the request that's before me, which essentially would require you to remove the lighthouse structure from your property?
Okay. This lawsuit was delivered to me on the 6th of March. Okay? And the lawsuit, because the judge is asking me, you've got a lighthouse. Are you opposed to removing it? That lighthouse got removed 1.5 years before. It got taken back to the other part of my lot. It's not there on the property line. It's not where the golfers can see it anymore. All right, I brought it back. It's moved. It's out of there. I just showed you on the map. But now, listen to the dialogue. If I could, the lighthouse has been on one of my 3 properties for the last 20 years. Okay, it's I paid $29 for it. It's made of foam. It's not 7 feet tall. It's not made of cement. It's been someplace.
So let me jump in just a second, sir. Just so you understand. So today's not the day when the court's gonna enter a ruling or make a decision on the issue. So what I don't want is I don't want everybody to really kind of argue their case to me today. I want to give everybody a chance to argue their case to me, but today's just not the day for it. Today really what we're doing is figuring out what do we do next. And so if you're wanting to oppose what has been requested by the plaintiff in this case. That
Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, the plaintiff, the lawyer that's bringing this charge, is telling the court that I have a lighthouse that's out of place on the border of my lot. Okay? That's what he's saying. This was delivered to me, like I said, in March, 2 months ago. I haven't had a life for 2 months. The first 3 days I didn't sleep or eat, knowing that I have to go to court, and I've been being fined $100 a day for a year and a half, and I'm up over $52,000, almost $60,000 in a lien against my house from the HOA, AAM. Every time they send me a bill, it's $700 a week added to my bill. All right? As I make points, you got to forgive me. When I make points, sometimes I have a blank. But this guy right now has brought a lawsuit and I feel he's wasted the court's time with this lighthouse. The night before they sent this, or the week before they decided to send this lawsuit to me in March of 24, if they would have came out to my property or driven by in a golf cart, they would have looked up and they say, it's gone. So it's a moot point for maybe we should change this lawsuit so that we're not charging him with a lighthouse that's not there anymore. That's why I say they started this case a year and a half ago. I'm trying to deal with a 67-page charge that's got about 7 different charges on it. 7 different exhibits that I have to answer to. All right? And this charge, and the first one that everybody's focused on, and they're obsessive compulsive, is the lighthouse. The judge is obsessed with it. That's the first thing he wants to know. And I'm trying to explain to him. He won't let me explain. No. So let's keep...
That's fine. And what we'll do is we'll set an evidentiary hearing. And at that hearing, everybody will have an opportunity to come and present testimony and exhibits and evidence. And the court will make a determination. So I just don't... I understand you may completely disagree with everything that the plaintiff has alleged, and that's fine, and that's the nature of a court proceeding. But today's just not the day when I'm going to make a decision or a ruling on this. So we're just trying to figure out where we go from here. So in short, though, my question is, are you opposed to their request that the lighthouse be removed?
The lighthouse has been removed. I removed it to another part of the property. It's been all over both properties. It's removed. Okay? If I would have gotten the letters, registered mail, return receipt, I would have accepted them. I'm kicked out of the HOA. I've been expelled out of the HOA for 7 years. I don't go on their website. When they send me a letter and there's no picture and all there is an alphanumerical code, and I have to go on their website and do cyber somersaults to see the picture, I don't go on their website. I was kicked out 7 years ago on one word: combative. No substantiating what I did to be combative, just combative. You're kicked out. Your key card's been eliminated. And that's a true story. And there's a video out there on how I got expelled by Carolyn and Charlie Waters. Okay? Charlie Waters had my civil rights trampled here by the Buckeye Police Department. You'll see a video on that too, sooner or later. There's a video out on it, but I'm gonna narrate that video here. But I'm letting you know. If you're a single male, and I'm damaged goods, okay? I'm damaged goods. First of all, I've never been married and I never had kids. So I don't have the sensitivities and the niceties, and I haven't been humbled by having children and a wife. I've called my own shots all my life, okay? And I don't suffer fools. And I don't like to be cross-examined. Every time when I go into the HOA, you've got 3 or 4 of your little minions there that are paid witnesses. They're paid witnesses. Let me warn you as a single male, I'm damaged goods. I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps learning how to fight. Not fight, combat fight, but how to stand up to people, okay? And I also been working on airplanes for 30 years. I'm a 30-year licensed federal mechanic. Okay, I know something about the law. And I know one thing about contract law. There's like elements to a contract. There's time, date, parties, consideration, and service. Now the consideration I've been sending to the HOA for the last 7 years on 2 houses, I've gotten nothing back. She turned over everything to the lawyers. I don't want to talk to him. I don't have an answer for his questions over there. And the board of directors don't want to spend the money. They feel that tract A is exactly the way they want it. Okay? Even though it doesn't have an emergency access easement. Okay? Ingress and egress. Golf carts can't use it. Pedestrians, we don't really want pedestrians to use it. And it's got a Grand Canyon at the end of it. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Let's go on. I got that but I'm saying don't if you're a single person. And another reason I'm damaged goods is I lived in Boston 4.5 years. I worked at the Boston airport, Logan Airport, receiving and dispatching airplanes as a federally licensed mechanic for 4.5 years. Very critical work. All right? I have the qualifications that if something goes wrong with the Autoland or autopilot system, or they change a part in the Autoland autopilot system, the navigation system that's critical, then I was one of maybe out of 100 mechanics, I was one of 3 out of 100 mechanics that had the certification to return to do the Autoland test on the aircraft. Sometimes it would have to be done with passengers on the plane. You got 150 souls plus the flight crew plus the pilot on the plane, and for a half an hour I have to do a Autoland certification test. I have to call up operations. It's a long drawn out process. It's much more critical than what's going on here in this kangaroo court. This is a kangaroo court. They're taking me to court for a lighthouse that I took down 1.5 years before. If they were professionals, before they delivered this lawsuit, a couple days before, they should have came over and said, is the lighthouse still there? No. Then let's get it off. But you're going to hear me plead for extra time from this judge, and he isn't going to give it to me. So I don't have any communication with the lawyers or Caroline. Caroline's hung up on me about 3 times, and I have recordings of her hanging up on me. She hangs up on me. I don't have to talk to you. Talk to the lawyer. I hope I'm helping you. And please, thank you for explaining that to me. But when you say, am I opposed to moving the lighthouse is not where it was before. It's been all over both properties. I'm sorry if I elaborate and I'm going into territory I shouldn't, but it must be maintained. are established right from the start. I was kicked out of the HOA 7 years ago. They've had nothing to do with me.
Okay, Your Honor. Your Honor, with Garrett, if I speak for a moment. I do just want to say that this isn't just about a lighthouse.
Did you hear that? This isn't just about the lighthouse. This isn't just about the lighthouse. We're going to waste time during this hearing, and you're going to ask him if he wants to move the lighthouse. All this bullshit about the lighthouse is mute. The lighthouse was removed a year and a half earlier. Okay, now listen carefully. He's going to tell the judge there's a lot of history between us. Listen.
There's a long history here of alterations to the backyard of Mr. Lachaume's property.
There you go. A long history of alterations to Mr. Lachaume's property. Those alterations were made because my property up here was made a slave, a water slave, a drainage slave to the golf course. Okay? I've explained it in other videos. They lowered my house. They built my lot to store water. I got permission from Woody Scouten over 10 years ago that I could do whatever I had to do to fix my lot so that it would drain. I've sent videos to Caroline explaining everything I was doing on my lot to the drainage. And I did the job twice. I fixed the drainage once, and then I had a massive leak, and I had to go back and do it again. Okay, so my yard has been in work probably out of the last 10 years. I worked on it for 8 years. And for the last 2 years, everything's come to a stop. I was all ready to start working on this yard in January of 2023. In January of 2023, I was all ready to get going and to start this lot, working on it some more after 6 or 7 years of being out there every year, working the lot, sifting, shoveling dirt, whatever, very visible to all the golfers and all my neighbors working on my lots. That's the history. But he doesn't want to talk about that history. He wants to talk about and you heard him say, we're just using the lighthouse to get something started. We're just using that as our focal point to initiate a lawsuit. He's got a lighthouse that's out of compliance. I don't. When they handed me the lawsuit in March of 24, like I said, the lighthouse had been moved over a year and a half. Let's move on.
The CCNRs require him to fill out an architectural application and ask the association if he can make a particular alteration, let them know what it is. There is a lighthouse of some sort back there, but there's also other issues. Particularly, probably the biggest one is he built some sort of gravel structure in the backyard and he put chairs.
All right, you hear that? The biggest alteration, the one that we're most concerned about, and it isn't the lighthouse. He's already meant the lighthouse. We just got the lighthouse, so we got a reason to start this. This lawsuit has been going on for a year and a half. A year and a half. They started all these paperwork and charges. That charge of the lighthouse is a year and a half old, 2-year-old charge that's not there anymore. Do you understand? Let's move on.
Things like that on it. His backyard isn't walled off. I mean, it's people.
Okay, his backyard isn't walled off. Let's start this over. Run it again. I want you to hear this.
I can see it. So I don't.
Let's go back and listen to this again.
There is a lighthouse of some sort back there, but there's also other issues. Particularly, and probably the biggest one, is he built some sort of gravel structure in the backyard, and he put chairs and things like that on it. This backyard isn't walled off. I mean, it's people walking by can see it. So I guess I just don't want to leave the impression that this is only about a lighthouse.
No, I understand.
Okay, I don't want. All right, did you hear him? People are walking by, they can see it. He made it sound like I live on Rodeo Drive. People aren't walking by my house. I'll get to, before we end this video, I'm going to show you, but I'm on a golf course. I'm on a golf course. The only people that walk by my house or by my lot that can see that lighthouse are golfers. He makes it sound like I'm on Main Street, America, doing this. How rude of me to put a lighthouse on Main Street, America, without permission. They're coming up with reasons. The golf course, the reason they don't like it, it isn't the lighthouse. This is an outdated lawsuit. It's over a year and a half old, and I have to answer a lawsuit that's over a year and a half old and outdated. I just proved to you on the satellite, the lighthouse isn't there. This is what you're in for when you deal with an HOA. They look for every reason. It's called gamesmanship. If anybody knows what gamesmanship is, they got a toolbox of games that they can put on you. And one of the biggest games is if you're single and alone and you walk in, they have paid witnesses. They have people that work there that if they don't say, yeah, he said that, they won't be working there. You are in combat when you walk into an HOA and try to settle something with the manager, and she's got all of her little minions around as support and witnesses. When you walk out, you might have thought I had a simple conversation. It got heated. Of course it got heated. You're not listening to me. I'm trying to make a point. I'm worried about the safety of my lot. I'm worried about the safety of the people in Parcel 12 that don't have an emergency ingress and egress. I have those concerns. It got heated. You don't want to listen to me. But I walk out thinking, it was a heated conversation. Most conversations are when one person feels really strong and he feels like he has a resolve and he has a legal grievance, what I think I had. But to walk out of a meeting and then 2 days later have a policeman come up and start pointing his fingers that you were out of line, you were doing this, you were doing that, and then get a letter saying you were combative, you're kicked out of the HOA, and then to get follow-up letters every time I ever had any contact with anybody in the HOA, the follow-up letter was you were out of line, you were screaming, you were hollering. No, I wasn't. I was trying to make a point. The first time I ever tried to approach you with this problem, you walked out of the room on me. If I start turning up the volume every time I talk to you, it's because every time I come in here to try to explain this grievance, you got more and more gamesmanship to put on me. Suing me for a lighthouse on my lot that isn't there anymore and making it sound like I'm in Main Street, America, that people are walking by my house on a regular basis is bullshit. Okay? Sorry for the language, excuse my French, but it is. And they're trying to build the case on me because they don't want me here. The jealousy factor, the human factor of jealousy, I've been dealing with for 19 years here. I feel some of the people that live around me had to buy their lot for default. They had their eye on this lot, but they weren't going to pay the $25,000 price for a 5,600 square foot lot. I came in from California, all right, and more or less said, how many can I buy at this price? And I bought 3 of them. All the people that had their names on these lots or had offers in. I'm sure they had offers that when you come to your senses and lower the price on those lots, call me up and I'll buy one. Well, Meritage didn't call them up. I came down and took one look from San Francisco and said, how many can I buy at this price? And I've been hated ever since. Okay? And they're doing everything to get rid of me. And they lowered my house.
And I apologize. When I prepare for these, I just kind of make notes of what seems to be the biggest issue. And so from reading this, when I initially prepared this file, that was the thing that seemed to be the biggest issue from the filing. So, I mean, it sounds like there is a dispute. It sounds like we ought to set an evidentiary hearing today. What I'm going to do is encourage between now and that evidentiary hearing the parties to communicate and see if they can reach some kind of a resolution that would negate the need for that hearing. And if you can't, that's fine. That's what the court's here for. We'll have the hearing and we'll make a determination on this. But it might help, Mr. Ash, you indicated you don't have a way to directly contact Mr. Lachaume other than mail. Mr. Lachaume, would you be comfortable providing Mr. Ash with your phone number and or an email address so that the two of you could communicate between now and that hearing that I'm going to set?
Well, thank you for being patient with me. I don't do this for a living. Okay, I've never been sued before. I've seen lawyers and they more or less given up. They go statute of limitations. All the history that you have with the Sundance Active Adult Community stems on the fact that I have a letter from a Buckeye engineer decertifying the access easement that's in our parcel. I also have my permit for building my house. My house was built.
So again, sir, I want you to get a chance to present that to the court, but we need to do it on the day when both sides are presenting evidence and when everybody's actually in the courtroom and I can see the documents that you're talking about. So again, just what I need to know is, are you willing to provide a phone number and or an email address so Mr. Ash can have communication with you between now and the evidentiary hearing that I'm going to set today?
Well, I went off on a tangent. I'm sorry. It's just that I look forward to putting a deal together. There's no mention in this lawsuit about the $100 a day fine that they started against me about a year and a half ago. I'm up almost over $55,000. So I feel like double jeopardy. I'm being sued by the plaintiff. I'm also being fined $100 a day for almost a year and a half. Which one do I address? It's like double jeopardy. I look forward to...
Let me explain. So we set an evidentiary hearing, and it's probably going to be at least 30, if not more days out, that we set that. That hearing is only going to address the request for injunctive relief, which is the plaintiff's request that is set forth in their application for preliminary and permanent injunction, and what they lay out in there is that they're wanting you to abide by the declaration and make changes in your yard that in their view comply with it. So it would not be the evidentiary hearing that would not be on any monetary issues at this point. That would be part of the case that would be resolved at some point. But the only thing we would be addressing at an evidentiary hearing that would be set fairly soon would just be their request for injunctive relief, which is that they're asking the court to order you to make changes to your yard to comply with what they have to comply with. And I have no way of knowing whether you're in compliance or not in compliance, whether what they're saying is valid or not today. And and that's why we need to set that evidentiary hearing so I can get evidence from both sides, see what everybody's talking about, and make a decision. But in the meantime, we need to set that hearing, and in the meantime, it's going to be necessary for you to have some communications with the other side, because I'm going to set some deadlines of things that you all will need to do, including exchanging copies of exhibits you want to use, and putting together what's called joint pre-hearing statements. And so it's going to be necessary for you and Mr. Ash to have communication during that time. So mail is one way to have communication, but it's a really slow and arduous way to do it. So that's why I was just wondering whether you're willing to provide him with a phone number and or email address to facilitate communication between now and the hearing.
Well, yeah, I can do that. I'd love to talk to him. I've been trying to sell this house for 10 years. And I can't sell it honestly. I can't sell it honestly because it was built wrong. No realtor will list my house. I've gone through about a dozen realtors. If they said, if you insist on telling the truth about your house being built wrong, we don't want the listing. And that's my history. And I would hate to do all this preliminary trial thing and bring all these documents in, like where he says I haven't paid the fines. I paid every fine except the last one. I paid every fine he said I didn't pay. And if you read the complaints, the first 4 or 5 complaints, they're very vague, ambiguous. They said, you're doing something in your yard, whatever you're doing, stop. Caroline knows I have a drainage problem in my yard. They built it not to drain. I hate to go off on a tangent like this, but when you're saying bring all this into court,
that you could provide for Mr. Ash, so he can contact you, or perhaps if maybe easier, Mr. Ash's phone number is listed on his filing. Maybe you can give him a call in the next day or two, and that way you all can kind of at least start the communication going, and this is going to be necessary. But if you want to provide him with a phone number now, I think that would help.
Well, it's okay. My number is 623 386 1138. That's my landline. I don't want to give him my cell phone because enough people have got my cell phone.
Yeah, that's fine. Mr. Ash, did you get that number? Okay. So now let me ask Mr. Ash, how much time do you think in the courtroom we will need for the presentation of evidence?
Okay. Almost 13 minutes and 54 seconds into a half an hour interview with a judge or a hearing, telephone hearing, 13 minutes and almost 14 minutes of a 26-minute conference, telephone conference, was eaten up over a telephone number that the plaintiff's lawyer says, I don't have his telephone number. You got hired by the HOA. The HOA has turned everything over to you. Okay? They won't talk to me. And since the HOA has everything on me, my telephone number, my email address, and another part of that 13, 14 minutes was over the lighthouse. Over the lighthouse, we wasted 14 minutes of a 26-minute conference over the bullshit that, and you heard the judge suggest to the lawyer, why don't you call him? Why did I give him my number? I'll tell you, this is Saturday the 20th. Okay? This happened on, I think, 2 weeks ago on Friday. It's been 2 weeks yesterday that he's had my phone number. He's had my phone number. You heard the judge, and you're going to hear him more, suggest to the lawyer, call him on the phone. You need his phone number. Mr. Lasham, you mind giving your phone number so he can call you? No, that's what I did. And then he says to me, the final thing, maybe you should call him in a couple of days. I'm not calling a lawyer who takes and sends one of his Cub Scouts out here to walk on my property. Okay? Austin Bello was a junior member of their legal team, right? They send him out like a little Cub Scout. Go walk on this property and check it out. I'm not going to call a lawyer who sends one of his lawyers onto my property to meter my property and trespass. Get it through your head. I identified Austin Ballio. He walked onto my property. If I was to call a witness in court, I'd like to call Austin Ballio, put him on the witness stand, and make him swear under oath that he didn't walk on my property. That's what I'm dealing with. But you see how this is all going. They've had this case going for 1.5 years, 2 years. They've been collecting all this paperwork. It all goes back 2 years. They deliver it to me after 1.5 years after the lighthouse isn't there anymore. And then they admit that really the lighthouse isn't the problem. So let's continue. It'll make you sick to see what's going to go happen here. I'm going to be given deadlines. A 67-page charge with all kinds of charges on it. And I've got a deadline of June 5th to make this. They've had 1.5 years to 2 years to put 67 pages of charges together.
For both sides.
Well, Your Honor, I'd say probably in this case 4 to 5 hours.
So really like a whole day, basically.
Possibly so, yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to underestimate.
No, I understand. That's
So
that's fair. But just to understand, if we're going to set it for that much time, it's going to be probably further out. How much time do you think we would need, Mr. LaShaw? And I understand you're not a lawyer and this isn't something you do all the time, but just thinking about both sides coming to court and presenting me with their evidence, witnesses testifying, and documents, how much time do you think we might need in the courtroom to present the issues on this request for injunctive relief?
Well, I would say at least hours, 5 hours, maybe more, because I have video. I make video YouTube that video's worth. I have all the video of the evidence of what took place with my lot 20 years ago. They made me it. I have statements from surveyors and everything else. And Caroline knows I've had a drainage problem. All the work that I've done. That's all I'm saying. I look forward to talking to a lawyer, but whenever I call Caroline, she says talk to the lawyers. I don't have to talk to you.
Okay.
That's what I've gotten 4 times calling her. I don't have to talk to you, and she hangs up. And
Okay, well, let's set our hearing. I really need to.
well, I hope you set it a long way out. I need time to do this. I need time to put all these documents together.
So here's where I'm looking at doing this. So we, when a party requests injunctive relief, as the plaintiff has done here, it's incumbent upon the court to try to set a hearing to resolve that as quickly as we reasonably can. Unfortunately, because of the amount of time this is going to require, I don't have anything available until the first week of June, so that's about 60 days. So that should give everybody plenty of time to get ready for this and also to explore whether there's a way to resolve it. what is your availability, Mr. Ash, on June 6th?
To my knowledge, I'm available.
I don't want to deal with June 6th. I don't want to deal with June 6th. I want to take it out longer. He's got his case already done. He doesn't have to do anything except show up with his paperwork. I have to defend myself. I know all about this. I've done enough online where it's an advantage to the plaintiff's lawyers to have it resolved as quickly as possible. I'm the defendant. Now, nobody's answered me.
Hang on, sir. Understand, please, though, that Arizona law, when a party's asking for injunctive relief, the court is obliged to get something set quickly. This is setting it further out than I normally would, but it's because just that's the nature of how. Okay, you just heard him spout Arizona law to me. No disrespect to the honorable judge, but right now, the whole country, every comedian in the country right now, you've given him about 5 minutes of joke line on Arizona. Arizona right now is being laughed at by everybody in the country over this 160-year-old abortion law. They got a 160-year-old abortion law. They had a chance last week to get it off the books, and the Supreme Court of Arizona upheld it. And it's even restricts abortion in the case of rape and incest. The whole country is laughing at Arizona. So for this judge to tell me, well, Arizona law says that we have to move quickly on this. You're all complaining that everybody is moving so quickly on Trump in New York. They want to try to get this trial over so they can convict him in New York. But this lawyer right here with the HOA have a case. First of all, the first thing that they talked about, the lighthouse, it's gone. It's a moot point. And the telephone number should have been a moot point. We have some egos out here. We have human factors with these lawyers. Their ego, their human factor is, we're not calling him. Like I said, this phone call took place 2 weeks ago. I've sent Caroline videos and letters, and she doesn't do anything with these email. I send her email letters. I've sent her about 5 of them in the last 5 days. I'm going to send her this one. And she's not responding at all. I've invited everybody out to the house. I've dropped everything. I'm doing exactly what the judge wants. If the judge wants me, I've offered to Caroline, she's a plaintiff. You want me to pull up the emails and show them on YouTube? I will. And I probably will. I've been sending her emails. Bring over your lawyers, bring over your board, bring over the engineers. Come over. I'm not going to fight this. Whatever you plan, you come up with. I know how to do it. I've had to rework my yard 3 times. Over the last 10 years, I've had to get the grading right. I've sent her videos of me reworking the grading, putting in drainage pipes, and I'm not getting any response, and the lawyer's not calling me. So I'm not going to call that lawyer. We went through this comic opera for over 14 minutes about the phone number and the lighthouse. Both of them didn't apply. Neither one applied. Neither one was it was moot. Each one, the lighthouse and the phone number. He has my phone number. She has my phone number. I'm passionate. I'm wound up. I can't believe at 75 years old that I'm driving all over Phoenix. I have to drive 60 miles to go to court next month.
I have to drive in to see. They can't tell me if they can play YouTube videos in the courtroom. I have to go in and do that. And plus, yesterday I got an eye exam. My eyes are, and I was told by the optometrist, the guy that did my eye exam, that he told me last year, you're starting to form a cataract. Well, this year he says it's getting bigger. And the first thing he suggested to me was, I suggest you go get that cataract taken care of right now. I'm 75 years old. These lawyers, these rinky-dink lawyers, what I call children for lawyers, okay? Wasting the court's time. 14 minutes talking about a phone number that they already have. All they have to do is ask Caroline. If she has the authority to turn over everything, all my business without a hearing, that's another thing. She turned over everything to the lawyer. I got a letter from a lawyer named Gallagher for 52 cents. It wasn't a legal document. It was a standalone legal document, but they didn't treat it like one. They spent 52 cents sending it to me. And this Gallagher said, everything has been turned over to us. You're not to talk to the HOA anymore. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I don't have the date on it. I just saw it this morning. I'll do more research. But I was informed that from now on, because of your behavior, and that behavior was based on their witnesses. That behavior was based on me going in, and if you think I'm out of line, I don't take this tone with them. When I go in and I start bringing maps out and stuff, when they say, we're not looking at your maps, we didn't have anything to do with screwing up track day. We didn't have anything to do with screwing up your house. So we're not going to listen to you. And if you keep talking about your house and track day, we turned over everything to the lawyer, and that's what's happening. But sorry for the machine gun delivery, but I'm a little passionate this morning. I got a deadline. Oh, let me tell you about deadlines. I'll have stories about deadlines. The first time I ran for the board, there was no requirement to 100-word limit to my statement for election to the board. I ran for the board about 6 or 8 years ago, and my statement was a paragraph all about track day. And I'm going to tell you about a deadline, another deadline that I got hit with. Pat Pence Young, and that proves that they have my phone number. Pat Pence Young called me up on the phone and gave me this line of shit. She goes, all the stuff, your statement and the other statement has to go into the printer today. It has to be into the printer in 20 minutes. We've only got 20 minutes to get it into the printer. It won't get it printed in time for your meet and greet night. So we need a 20-minute. In 20 minutes, you got to correct what you did. And I sent them probably 150-word, 175-word statement. That was my candidate's statement. And they had edited it. And then she sent me an email, which proves that they had my email. So she sent me an email of my statement, what they had crossed out. They had edited it. And then they had this condensed version edited. And she goes, you accept that. It's under 100 words. You can accept what we did or make another one. But you only got 20 minutes. We have to have this to the printer in 20 minutes. So either accept the way we edited it or come up with your own statement. Well, in 20 minutes, I came up with a 100-word statement. And I sent it to him. And I was very proud of it. And even Star Ballou sent me a letter, her email saying, good job. You know, more or less, you made the deadline. But that's another deadline that they put on me. when I ran for the board the first time about 6 years ago. They jammed me, and now I'm being jammed by this judge. Same way. They've got a case that they've been building for 2 years. Everybody's familiar with it. They got a legal staff. They got legal secretaries. They got more than one lawyer that they can bounce ideas around in. They've been through it. They've been schooled to do it. All right? I haven't. Let's continue this kangaroo court we're going through. Like I said, the whole country is laughing at Arizona law right now.
Full my calendar is, and because of the length of the hearing that we need. So this is a reasonable amount of time for anybody to be ready for this. So are you available, June?
Well, I want to make the statement. I disagree. I've got a $60,000 lien against my house right now, and it's not mentioned in... Okay, I want you to listen real closely to what the lawyer says here in about 2 seconds. Just listen closely what the lawyer says. Any of these filings. This filing wants to sue me $1,000 a day on top of being sued, and
Your Honor, there is no $60,000 lien.
Well, and then,
Did you hear that? Your Honor, there's no $60,000 lien? Yeah, there is. Oh, I can't. I'm glad you said that because when I show up in court with all the invoices, with all the $100 a day liens on it, they're not talking to you. Your Honor, it's like dealing with two HOAs. I have the HOA being run by Caroline and Buckeye, and I have the HOA being run by AAM out of downtown Phoenix. And AAM has been charging me $100 a day. I'm up to over almost 60,000, and now I've got this to deal with. I feel like I'm in a shooting gallery. I feel like Donald Trump in New York right now. It's like you guys are going to make me pay. You're going to steal my lot from me. They can't get away from me, get rid of me any other way except doing this. And that $100 a day fine is real. I'll send them the pay. I sent videos to Caroline last week, and she forwarded them to the lawyer.
Sir, I've got to interrupt you because I have a 10:30 hearing that I've got to be.
Here we go with a deadline. I got a hearing, deadline.
Able to get to, so I need to set this hearing and set some deadlines. Okay.
Well, I'd like to set it to August, to July or August, and give me some time to get all this paperwork together. I spent
Mr. Ash, let me hang on, sir. I understand, Mr. Ash. Any objection to setting it out that far?
Yeah, we would like it sooner.
Yeah, it's your advantage.
This has been going on for several years, so.
Okay. All right. So.
It's been going on for several years, he says. It's been going on for 19 years. It started when they built my house to store water. When they built my house and lot to store water, and they filled in tract A, I have the decertification letter to prove it. And I want to say, I heard scuttlebutt from the realtor that sold my house that when Woody Skelton wrote that letter, let me tell you why he wrote that letter. I worked in the commercial aircraft industry, fixing airplanes, wide bodies, 747s, 777s, 727s, 737s, 757s, 767, DC-10, DC-8, you name it. Whatever they had, I worked on it. Okay? And I forget what my point is, but what I'm trying to get to is these guys out here, he goes, a lot of history. He goes, there's a lot of history. Yeah, and I want to bring it into court. But I need time to put my history together. His history is all wrong. Okay? The simple fact that the lighthouse isn't there, and it's the biggest part, the most focused part, and that's what the judge started with. I've reviewed the case. What about the lighthouse? We wasted 14 minutes on lighthouse and phone number. Okay? I forget where I am, but I'm going now.
I'm going to set our one-day bench trial on June 6th at 9 a.m. It's in person.
I protest. I
Oh,
protest.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't understand what you said, sir.
I protest. I don't have nearly enough time to put all this evidence together. This goes back 19 years. It'll probably take 2 days to go through all the history I have with the HOA. And thank you for being patient with me.
This is the data I'm going to set. We're noting your objection, but we're going to set it for June 6th.
We're going to set it for June 6th. I'm going to play ball with this lawyer. Him and I are in the same industry together. We're both in law, okay? And we probably both go to the same church. We probably both eat at the same restaurants. We know each other. We swim in the same aquarium together. The court system of Arizona, okay? I know him. He knows me. I don't know you, LaShawn. And I'm going to jam you with another, just like Pat Pence Young did with that 100-word letter. She limited me to 100 words. She said, you gotta get this condensed to 100 words in 20 minutes, or it's not gonna go through. You're not gonna be on the ballot. So how about letting us put it? So I'm getting jammed the same way by this judge. This judge knows the lawyer. All right?
At 9 a.m.
They work together day in and day out.
I should take some notes on this, sir, and these deadlines apply to both sides. So,
well, I don't have a chance. I feel like I'm up against the HOA. They have more tools in their box than I do. They have a case already. I have to defend my case. I haven't started.
Sir, I understand, but we're setting the hearing for June 6th at 9 a.m. By no later than May 30th, the parties shall provide the court with a joint pre-hearing statement. By no later than May 23rd, parties shall exchange copies of their exhibits and a list of any witnesses they intend to call at the hearing. I understand, sir, you're saying that you are wanting some of your exhibits may include video. We do have the ability for video to be played in our courtroom with our electronics that we have here, but it's important and it will be necessary for you to contact my staff and schedule an appointment to come to the courtroom on a day when we're not having hearings and test out your equipment to make sure that your laptop or tablet, whatever it is when you use to present your evidence, that's going to work well with our system that we have here. So please make sure you contact courts, do that. I'm going to give you an email address right now. That's probably the best way to do it. So you can email my assistant at Tiffany, Tiffany, dot Fotos, Fotos, at JBAZMC, that's JBAZMC.maricopa.gov. And if for some reason you didn't catch that, you can always call the number you called into today to make sure you got the right email address. But you'll need to make that appointment to make sure that your electronics will work well with our system in the courtroom, so that you understand how to do that.
Your Honor, if I may, you're very patient. Thank you. Just put my name into YouTube, and you'll see all the videos. All you have to do is put my name in YouTube. You'll see all the videos. They're self-explanatory.
Here's the thing about that, sir. So never done that. So you'll get a chance on June 6th to present me with the evidence that you think is appropriate and relevant for the court to consider that day. But Mr. Ash, is there anything else we need to progress other than these deadlines that I've set?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
Okay.
He's happy. He's happy. I don't want to change anything. I've got him. I got him right where I want him. I got him answering a 67-page indictment or lawsuit, and he's only got a few weeks to do it. And he don't know how to do it. He's never done it before. He doesn't know how to do that. The judge knows that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Lachaume, any questions about the procedures or the deadlines?
Well, I want to compliment you on your secretary, Tiffany. I talked to her about 2 weeks ago, and she was more than helpful. So you have a very good secretary. I want to compliment on you. I look forward to resolving this. I want to sell this house in the worst way. I don't want to live in Buckeye anymore. I have a record now with the police department. The police have stepped on I've had my civil rights trampled out here. I practiced law for 30 years as a United Airlines and U.S. Airlines mechanic. I practiced federal law as an airline mechanic. That's why I'm doing this. But I don't have enough time by June 6th to come up with all this preliminary paperwork. I don't do this for a living. I fixed airplanes for a living. And if this neighborhood could fall from the sky, everybody that built it would be going to jail. Okay? Like I said, I practiced law for 30 years as an airplane mechanic, a federally licensed one. So I think I know what I'm talking about when I say something's out of compliance. My house. I've got all the documents to prove it, and I look forward to being in court with you, Your Honor. And thank you for being patient with me. This wasn't easy.
You're welcome, sir. And so we'll see everybody on June 6th at 9 a.m. unless the matter settles. If there's a settlement, please do let us know at your earliest convenience, and that way we can potentially use that date and time for another case. But with that said, I'm going to adjourn the hearing. Have a nice day, everybody. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a great day. Huh? Now, I'm going to back out of here, and I'm going to show you that lighthouse. Okay? I got a lighthouse video here. Okay, here it is. I sent this video to Caroline a couple days ago. It's proof. There's the lighthouse. It's not out on the property line. Okay, it's not 7 feet tall. Okay, let me start this video. Oh, I don't know where I am here. Get back. Nope, let's get out of that. Okay. We want back out of this. I was a little bit, I started it wrong, so we'll do it again. But this is, the other day, I made this the other day. I made this video the other day. Okay? I started out the video showing it here. That's where it was. As you know, in my videos, what they are talking about. I'm being sued by the HOA for having a lighthouse, putting a lighthouse on my lot without permission. I've made the statement that I bought the light. That's probably one of the first items I ever bought for this landscape, my yard. Was, I have to tell you, this was shot before I ever started excavating. That's 10 years old. This picture is 10 years old. And for 10 years, I paid dues every 3 months, and nobody ever put this lighthouse, or I never got written up for this lighthouse, and it was there for years like that. And nobody ever sued me. It was never part of a lawsuit. But I want to let you know this video is 10 years old. Before I started excavating. And I want you to understand, listen, this lighthouse. You can see it off in the distance over here. That's basically where it was when the lawyer wrote it up. Now this video is 10 years old. I made this video 10 years ago. Right after Woody Skelton presented his letter to the HOA, and right after Woody Skelton gave me permission in front of Ed Wooden Kelly and Phil Marcotte that I could do whatever I wanted to do to get the water off my lot. Okay, this is a short video. I'm going to turn down the sound because we don't need it. But this is before I started excavation. This was before I started excavation with the tractor and removing dirt off my lot. And I want to show you, the purpose of this video was to show you the water infiltration I was getting under my, let's go through this. Let's see if I can walk us through this video, and I'll tell you what's going on. Okay, first of all, I hadn't put in any pipes from there where you see that retention basin. That's an undocumented, undisclosed, unplanned retention basin that was installed on my lot by the builder and the landscape people almost 19 years ago or 19 years ago. You see the way the water is clinging to the patio? That's because from the patio out, all the way out to the property line, it's uphill. Now, this is just a light rain. But the reason I'm making this video is to show you, there's the lighthouse. All right, it got moved. I put it on this patio over here. When I started excavating, I set it on this patio over here for about 5 years while I worked on the lot. I cleaned up the lot. I replaced irrigation lines. I sculptured the lot. I had to put crushed stone. I was moving rock. I worked on this property for probably 8 years straight. And I want to let the HOA know and all the people out there, the day that I got that $4,500 fine at Christmas in 2022, Christmas of 2022, when I got shocked, surprised, sucker punched, whatever you want to call it. You see how the water is clinging? Now out here, there's the lighthouse. It's sitting exactly the way it was when the lawyer walked onto my property and then wrote it up later. And that was about 2 years ago. But this video was shot 10 years ago, and it illustrates what I was burdened with as a homeowner here from the HOA, the golf course, and the permitting of Buckeye. This house right there was lowered intentionally by the builder, and that's the result. This house on the left is 3 inches higher, 2.5 inches, and it's 3 inches by now. But you see all that water that's migrated up? That causes termites. That's soaking under the house. This is a light rain. Okay, and you see how the water, can you imagine how much water my lot retains like a sponge in a deluge? This wasn't even a strong storm. It was like a light storm that rained all night, rained overnight, and look what we have. A permanent, forever and ever, 1,000-year retention basin installed on this lot as a substitute for the retention basin that was filled in at Tract A and Parcel 12. This makes me sick to look at it. It should make any homeowner sick to see this. This is before I started. Now, I sent you the video of me bringing in a tractor, putting in lines, grading the lot. This was all done, but this was 2014, 10 years ago. So for me to be getting, right now, we'll get out of this. Okay, you saw that. This is the one I want. I hope this is the one I want. Here we go. Okay. I sent this video to Carolyn last week. Okay. Here we go. What happened? Okay. Oh, what happened? I keep doing that. What? How come it's not? I'm having trouble here. It's early Saturday morning, and I'm having trouble keeping track of all this. Let's try that again. Let's start it. I don't know why it's starting that one. Okay, but you saw where the, I'll get another video out. I'm done. But that right there is the deadline. And I'm going to tell you one more deadline that I got handed by the HOA. When I ordered the second two houses, which were lot 315 and lot 314, and they were framing them up. My sister back in New York, she had the operation done, but she had to have open heart surgery. And I had to get what they call a leave of absence, medical leave of absence from the United Airlines. I was working for United, and I was having the houses built, and I got jammed again with a deadline. I made the mistake of telling the realtor that I was working with here that I was going back in New York. I wouldn't be available. I wouldn't be able to come down. I won't be visiting the property. I might be back in New York as much as 2 or 3 weeks. I'm supporting the family. My sister's having open heart surgery. I'm going to be back there. Well, I was back there a couple of days, and guess what happens? The lady who ran the interior design center calls me up in New York. She's got my phone number and goes, "We got a deadline. We gotta pick your interior stuff. We're moving here fast. We're moving here fast. When do you think you're going to be back in town?" I go, "At least 3 weeks." "Oh, Jesus, that's too late. We're wanting to move. We're wanting to move fast right now. You have to pick all the interior stuff. You should be here tomorrow to pick the interior for the second two lots. We need you right now. Right now. It's got to be done now. You got to be here." And I said, "I'm not coming. My sister's having open heart surgery." She goes, "Well, we have to pick all this stuff now." And I said, "Well, you saw what I picked, right? You saw what I picked. And when I picked it really quick. I picked the cabinets, the flooring, everything." I said, "So you pick it, and if it's the same style of stuff that I picked, it's all desert colors, we can't go wrong." And that gave her permission, and what happened then was I got in the third house, lot 314, the ugliest tile that you could ever see. It made me want to puke when I came a month later or 2 months later and I had it tiled, here I had, my first house, I had bought this nice expensive textured tile. Well, she did put some of that in the second house, but in the third house, she took tile that was sitting on the shelf that nobody had picked. We're gonna move this tile. We're gonna put it in this third house. When I walked in that third house, I'm telling you, I almost threw up. I can't. You had to have picked the cheapest. And then when I got warranty tile, when I needed warranty title for the first two houses, I got a lot of warranty title for the first house, but the second house, no warranty tile. Warranty tile is when they give you a couple of extra boxes of tile. When I got to the fourth house, they had 4 extra boxes of warranty tile in the garage of that house. Why? Because it was tile that nobody picked. I couldn't believe she picked that tile. I was so disappointed and upset with her. Okay? But then again, this thing with the deadline. They love to hit you with deadlines. And I'm getting this deadline from the judge. Okay? I'm going to try one more time to see if I can find that lighthouse video. Why it's not showing up. But I want to show you, for some reason, I can't. All right. Sometimes you just have to leave. All right. This one. It just keeps going. Well, I'll have to put that on up again. But anyway, I'm done. Like I said, to reiterate, we wasted almost half of that telephone call over a lighthouse that they charged was there and it wasn't there. Okay? I took it down. I moved it. And I showed you on the map, the satellite map, where I moved it a year and a half before. And then but they've been working this lawsuit for over a year and a half or 2 years to put it all together. They have a team. They have secretaries. They do this for a living. All right? And to charge me with what they're charging me with, they're trying to pick my pocket. We happen to be in the West Valley. All right, I'll stop here. I'll have to do this one over again. I'll probably do this one over again. But at least I'll have this